Welcome to Silent Apexx. This channel is not about motivation for the masses. It is not built for noise, trends, or performance. It exists for those who understand that real power is built in silence, that growth does not announce itself, and that some transformations only happen when no one is watching. Today's story is about something most people misunderstand: why Sigma men go dark, why they disappear without explanation, and why, when they return, they are never the same. This is not about revenge, not about proving anything, and not about ego. It is about withdrawal as a strategy, isolation as a forge, and silence as a tool for rebuilding identity. If you have ever stepped away from the world to rebuild yourself, this will resonate. Let's begin. Most people assume that when a man disappears, he is running from responsibility, running from pain, running from failure. That assumption comes from projection. Sigma men do not go dark to escape. They go dark to remove interference. There is a critical difference between avoidance and withdrawal. Avoidance is driven by fear. Withdrawal is driven by clarity. The Sigma does not vanish because he is overwhelmed. He vanishes because he has identified something that no longer aligns: a relationship, an environment, a version of himself. And once that realization happens, noise becomes dangerous. Most men wait until they break. They burn out, they explode emotionally, and they damage relationships. They lose direction publicly. Sigma men withdraw before that point. They sense internal pressure building. They notice discipline slipping. They feel misalignment growing. Instead of pushing through blindly, they step back. Not dramatically, not with announcements. Quietly. They remove themselves from situations that drain energy. They reduce communication. They simplify their world. This is not weakness, it is self-preservation at a strategic level. When the Sigma goes dark, the first thing he seeks is silence. Not physical silence alone, but psychological silence. No opinions, no expectations, no emotional obligations. Silence removes external influence. In silence, there is no applause, no validation, no distraction from self-assessment. This is uncomfortable for most people because silence forces confrontation. The Sigma welcomes this discomfort. He understands that clarity cannot exist in noise. One of the first things that happens during isolation is identity loss. The Sigma begins to detach from roles: who he was to others, what he represented socially, how he was perceived. These identities dissolve quickly when there is no audience. This is intentional. The Sigma is not interested in maintaining a version of himself that only exists in relation to others. He wants to know who he is without reflection, without mirrors, without feedback, without reinforcement. This is where real rebuilding begins. In isolation, motivation disappears. There is no hype, no encouragement, no emotional push, only structure remains. This is where Sigma men separate permanently. Most people rely on motivation. Sigma men rely on systems, wake times, training routines, work blocks, mental repetition. Discipline does not care how you feel. It does not negotiate. And in isolation, discipline hardens. Going dark kills one dependency above all others: validation. No likes, no messages, no recognition. At first, this feels unsettling, even for the Sigma, but over time, something shifts. Self-worth detaches from response. Progress becomes internal. Confidence becomes quiet. This is the moment the Sigma stops needing the world to agree with him. And once that happens, returning weaker becomes impossible. When you go dark, pain has nowhere to hide. There is no one to blame, no one to vent to, no one to distract you. This is where most people fail. The Sigma stays. He sits with discomfort. He studies it. He extracts information from it. Pain becomes feedback, not punishment, and feedback accelerates growth. When the sigma eventually reappears, people are confused. They expected collapse, they expected bitterness, they expected explanation. Instead, they see calm, structure, distance. What they don't understand is this: the sigma didn't disappear to come back louder. He disappeared to come back aligned. And alignment changes everything. When a sigma goes dark, the transformation does not happen on the surface. It happens internally. Beliefs are questioned, habits are audited, weak points are identified without mercy. There is no ego protection in isolation. No one to impress, no image to defend. This is where internal restructuring begins. The sigma rebuilds his priorities from the ground up. What matters? What drains energy? What deserves focus? This process is slow, uncomfortable, and brutally honest, but it creates something most people never develop: internal order. When the sigma returns, people often mistake his calm for arrogance. It is not. His confidence is no longer performative. It does not need reinforcement. It does not fluctuate based on reaction. It is anchored. This kind of confidence is unsettling to others because it does not ask permission to exist. He speaks less, explains less, reacts less. And because of that, every word carries more weight. People notice the change before they understand it. Posture becomes grounded. Movements become deliberate. Eye contact becomes steady but unforced. There is no rush in his gestures, no wasted motion. This is the physical manifestation of internal discipline. The sigma does not try to look strong. He simply is no longer leaking weakness. And the body reflects that truth naturally. After returning, the sigma often experiences a shift in how others interact with him. People interrupt him less. They listen more closely. They become more cautious with words, not out of fear, out of respect. The sigma does not demand respect. He makes disrespect feel inappropriate. This is the result of boundaries that no longer need explanation. One of the most difficult consequences of going dark is relational distance. Some connections no longer fit. Some dynamics feel outdated. Some people sense that access has changed. The sigma does not announce this shift. He allows it to happen naturally. Relationships that align deepen. Those built on convenience fade. This is not cruelty. It is alignment. Growth requires selective proximity. Many expect an explanation. They want to know what happened, where he went, why he changed. The sigma does not provide a detailed answer, not because he is secretive, but because explanation invites negotiation. And his transformation is not up for debate. He understands that those who truly align will feel the change. Those who don't were never meant to understand. One of the strongest effects of going dark is unpredictability. People can no longer anticipate reactions. They cannot manipulate patterns. They cannot provoke responses. This unpredictability creates leverage, not aggressive leverage, psychological leverage. The sigma becomes difficult to control because he no longer reacts emotionally. And emotional independence is power. This is the part most people misunderstand. The sigma does return physically, but he never returns psychologically. The version of him that tolerated misalignment is gone. The version that sought validation is gone. The version that explained himself is gone. What remains is someone refined by solitude. This is why relationships often feel different after his return. It is not distance, it is evolution. Isolation is not romantic, it is not aesthetic. It is not easy. Most people cannot sit with themselves long enough to rebuild. They seek distraction, they seek noise, they seek reassurance. The sigma chooses discomfort because he understands its value. Going dark is not for attention, it is for alignment. And alignment always demands sacrifice. When the sigma comes back stronger, there is no announcement, no dramatic reveal, no victory speech. Strength reveals itself in restraint, in consistency, in the absence of chaos. People sense it over time, and by the time they realize he has changed, the transformation is already complete. The Sigma does not romanticize isolation, but he understands it. If alignment is threatened again, he will step away again. Not emotionally, strategically. Because going dark is not an escape, it is a tool, and tools are reused when needed. Sigma men do not go dark to disappear forever. They go dark to remove distortion, to rebuild structure, to return aligned. And when they come back stronger, it is not for revenge, not for recognition. It is simply the natural outcome of disciplined solitude. If this resonated, it is because you recognize the pattern. Either you have lived it or you are preparing for it. Silent Apexx exists for those who understand that growth does not need an audience. That strength is refined in silence. And that isolation, when chosen, becomes a forge. If this video added value, like it and subscribe to Silent Apexx. And explore the other stories on the channel for deeper alignment, self-mastery, and quiet strength. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are rebuilding. Move deliberately. Protect your focus. And when the time comes, step back into the world stronger than before. Move in silence.